Good afternoon, everyone. This is Keith Whalen from RPI Consultants. Thank you for taking the time to attend this afternoon's webinar on HCM Analytics. And with that, I give you Mr. Aaron Epps.
Thanks. Good afternoon, everyone. So we're here today to talk about HCM Analytics, to give you a sneak peek at the yet-to-be-released product, so you can see what it is. But first, there's a few areas we want to cover to make sure we've got a good understanding of what are some are seeing today. What are the analytical concepts? What's a data model? Use it right in practical use. We're going to look at the HCM Analytics and give you a sneak peek, and then we're going to talk about a strategy, some best practices that we have in planning for a successful implementation, and then of course we'll have summary and questions at the end. So common challenges. So some of the common challenges that we see when we talk to our HR customers is they often are stuck in what they call an IT-centric reporting model today. And that's where basically they have to gather your requirements. You have to explain them to somebody else. What is it you need? Why do you need it by? They go, they take those requirements, they go into the system, they pull together the data, present it back to you and say, is this what you wanted? And you say, yeah, it's great. Or maybe, well, it's almost need another column added, or I need more data. And they go back and you iterate over and over, eventually get it. The problem that people have with that type of model is that often you have a very short window in which you need to make a decision, and you often can't get the data that you need within that window. So that leads you to have to make a decision from your gut, right? A subjective decision. This is the way we've always done it. This is the way we did it last. There's no data to actually back up that decision. A lot of HR departments we talk to today are spending a significant amount of time doing manual reporting, kind of this hunting and gathering of data to generate reports and dashboards, maybe to distribute throughout the organization or to provide to executive leadership. So when we talk to customers, they often say that they spend anywhere between 25 to 75% of their time getting extracts from different systems, putting it all together, running it through a bunch of Excel macros, generating a PDF, sending it off, and they do that every week or every 2 weeks or every month. So there's a significant amount of effort that's spent with those manual, tedious reporting processes. And then lastly, one of the responses that we've seen to some of these problems is that many people in the organization will go and download a desktop BI tool, something like Tableau or Click. It's easy to get. They usually offer a free trial. And within a matter of minutes, right, you can take all those spreadsheets, you can import it into Tableau, and you can create something that looks pretty cool. But the problem, of course, is that it doesn't scale and that data is not governed. So people often question, where did this dashboard looks great? Where did it come from? Where's the data? How did you calculate your numbers? What are these KPIs based off of, et cetera? And that multiplied by everybody that has Tableau throughout the organization. So you kind of see these proliferations of data silos. And the only worse thing than not having access to information is having access to inaccurate information. So I'd like to start out with some of the fundamental analytical concepts so you understand what they are. The first one I want to talk about is a data model. This is a picture of a data model. This is the Infor Analytics for Birst data model for finance and supply chain. It's complex, it's got a lot of pieces, but why do you care about that? As an end user, the reason you care about this data model basically presents your information on a platter, right? It's easily accessible and there for you to consume to create whatever it is you need. It's not a subset of data, it's all of your data. You can then very easily take those little bits of information and put them together. I often refer to them as Legos, right? Your data model provides you Legos of little bits of business information that you can then take and put together in different ways to create different things that you need, whether it's a report, a dashboard, etc. Right? You have easy access. Gone are the times when you have to figure out what table your data is in, what other tables you need to join it to, who's going to write the stored procedure, how you're going to schedule that. This gets rid of all that, right? And just allows you to access the data as you'd want to. And so to that, I want to show a couple of screenshots showing what it looks like. This is a tool called Visualizer. This is included with Birst. This is what you use to create reports and dashboards. It's one of the tools for creating reports and dashboards. But you can see here, so we've got the different subject areas. So we've got kind of a hierarchy of different areas, so it's organized. So if you're looking for turnover analysis or employee or compensation, et cetera, you can drill down and then you can see those different attributes like we've got over on the right-hand side. So they're organized into folders, and then you just drag and drop those from the left-hand pane off to the right-hand pane, and that's what you use then to populate your dashboard, your report, whatever it is that you need to build. The data model itself is also searchable. So if you don't want to go through that, you're looking for something specific. So here I've typed in turnover, and what it does is it goes and searches through the data model and finds everything that has turnover in it. And then you find that whatever that building block that you're looking for to build your report, you drag and drop that onto your screen. And that's how easy it is to access your information. You can do this at any time, 2 in the afternoon, 2 in the morning. You've always got access to the data that you need to do your job, make better decisions at your job. The tools that are included with Birst, there's 2 primary visualization tools that are included. So in the top left corner, this is important because a lot of people ask about this. They say, you know, I get visualizations and dashboards and it's great, but you know, there's some stuff I just have to do. Maybe it's for compliance or for auditing or something where you just have to submit a row and column report like Crystal reports or something that looks like Excel. If you still need to do that, great, you can. Birst includes a tool called Designer. Think of it as Crystal reports, right? So you can create those legacy style reports if you need to. The second tool they have is Visualizer. That's the one that you're going to use to create different styles of reports, but more of the visualizations, the dashboards, the ad hoc analysis tools. And on the upper right-hand corner, I'd just like to point out that it is mobile friendly. Everything you create, whether it's in Designer or Visualizer, is mobile ready. You don't have to create another version. You don't have to install another program. Whatever you create is viewable by anybody on an iPhone, on an iPad, whatever mobile device they prefer. So what are some of the practical reasons of why you'd want to use analytics in your organization? So the first one is, of course, you want to make better business decisions, right? There is a cost associated with not making good decisions because you don't have timely access to the information that you need. It's going to allow you to remove the subjectivity from your decision-making process and to really confirm or deny that gut feel that you have. You know, I think this is the right thing to do. I think we need to make these adjustments. You know, let's get rid of that and get the data so you can actually back it up. And then you have that data to back up that decision in the future. Easy access to trusted information. So with this model, you have a ERP. All of your HR information is modeled by Infor, by the product developers, by the designers, by the experts who know where this data lives and how it relates to each other. And so when they create that data model, that allows you to go in and access that whenever you need it. So you really want your employees to have self-service at their fingertips. Develop the tools that are role-specific for their job so they can easily access the data for routine requests, but then also give them dynamic tools so they can handle those one-off requests that come up during a meeting or out of the blue so they don't have to rely on somebody else to get that information. And then, of course, we want you to automate everything as much as you can. If you're spending a lot of time doing reporting today, exporting to Excel, you know the dance, how it goes. Get rid of that, right? We can go through, we can automate, we can save you a significant amount of time if you're doing manual reporting today. So one of the things I like to talk about is I like to give a practical example that you can easily communicate to other people when they ask you, well, you're talking about doing HCM analytics, but what does it mean? What are we going to get out of it? And the example I like to use is how you used to book an airline ticket and how we all do, right? And so it used to be you had a travel agent, right? And we all know the drill. You told them where you wanted to go, when, what airline, etc. They went back and forth. And eventually, you made a decision and said, okay, book that ticket for me, please. Versus now, right, we all have self-service. We go to Kayak, Orbitz, Expedia, whatever your favorite site is, and you land on a massive data set, right? You have all flights, all destinations, all airports globally for probably 6 months out, right? And what they do is they give you an ad hoc analysis tool that allows you to whittle down that massive data set to something very specific. They don't know what flight you're looking to book before you come onto that land on that page. But what they've done is they've developed a ad hoc analysis tool, and they've put the right knobs and levers on it so you can pivot that data set and find that exact flight and then book it and make a data-driven decision, and that happens in minutes. So those are the types of tools, that's the type of experience that you want your HR analyst to have, right? You want to develop tools like that because expectations outside of the workplace, are very different than what they have within the workplace. People go outside and everything is self-service, right? Your banking, your mortgage, your car loans, your kids' academic programs. I mean, everything you can go and get yourself. You very rarely have to pick up the phone and ask somebody to get something for you. But yet they come into work and they feel like they're going back, right? They're going back to the days of the travel agent where I had to ask somebody to do something for me because I don't have access, or it's too complex, right? So we definitely, we refer to that as the consumerization of enterprise. So you want your team's experiences to align with their expectations outside of the workplace. So I want to get in and show you some of the content that we have here. So what we've got up here is a few screenshots. So this is a sneak peek of some of the HCM analytics content that's soon to be released. If you are a V11 GHR multi-tenant customer, you are going to get this very soon. You will have all of this, the pre-built content that I'm showing, and the data model that's behind the scenes that drives all these numbers and KPIs. The one thing that I like to talk about that's important with this pre-built content is it's a really, really good start. It's probably not going to be everything you need, and you can definitely customize this. So this is extensible if you need to add it. If you want different KPIs across the top, we can show you how to do that. So you've got a lot of flexibility. It's not set in stone, and you're definitely going to want to think about how you can develop and enhance this. But one of the things it does give you is it does present a lot of different visualizations that help you think about how you can look at data in different ways and how you can enable more data-driven decision making with some of these visualizations. Because often what we see today is people distribute data and they kind of give you a wall of numbers or a wall of information. Lots of rows, lots of columns, and you kind of have to hunt through it to find that anomaly, right? And then you find that anomaly and then you investigate and then you make a decision. Well, you can do those things much quicker if you have the right visualization based on the type of analysis that you're trying to do. So for example, we look at this one, this one has labor costs, it has employees by gender, there's diversity and inclusion goals, there's all kinds of different stuff that can be included. So this one here, this is turnover analysis. This is something a lot of people are looking to do, understand what it is, track it, monitor it, keep it as low as possible. So this is some of the stuff that's available out of the box. And then we've got another one for folks that have talent acquisition. You get applicant analysis, right? So you can look at what's going on for people that are about to come into the organization. How many positions are you hiring for? What's the status of those positions? What does that funnel look like for people inbound? There's also requisition analysis, which again allows you to look at open recs by location, by work type. We've got a bunch of different metrics across the top for current requisition summary. So it really gets you thinking about how you can take, and again, how you can take those building blocks of information and put them together in different ways to develop these dashboards and analytical tools. So with HCM Analytics, you get ready to use standard reports. You're going to get pre-built list views and alerts that are built into GHR V11. Of course, you get the data model and the pre-built analytics, and then you're going to get some self-service, some guided ad hoc analysis tools, and then Report Designer to create kind of those traditional row and column reports if you need to. So this slide is just a summary of the content that's available. If you'd like to look at this, feel free. I can share the slide or deck with you after the presentation, but this shows you all of the stuff that's included. And this is something that's going to continue to grow over time. It's not set in stone. This is something that Infor will regularly be updating. They'll extend the data model. They'll add more pre-built content on a regular cadence. So one of the things we like to talk about as well is, we've covered analytics, what they are, how do they use them, but how do you successfully implement them, right? How do you plan for success? And we like to talk about how it's better together to work with a partner who's been there and done that, who has a lot of experience and has done these types of implementation and can kind of guide you down the right path. So one of the things we do that's different from many partners is we have an implementation approach where we do an assessment during the pre-sales process. And the assessment is important because we want to have that be led by a functional subject matter expert. So this is going to be someone that's used Lawson HR products for 10, 15, 20 years. They maybe were a director of HR in their previous role, but they need to come in and they need to be viewed as a peer by our customers. We want them to come in and challenge the status quo to make sure that you don't just come and take that big pile of reports that you guys have been using forever and say, great, we have Birst now, let's just rebuild these all in that new technology. We know that's setting yourself up for an implementation that's not going to be perceived as valuable. The other thing is it's important to come in and level set expectations on the pre-built content. What is or isn't included in the data model? What is provided by, what can we use out of the pre-built content? What do we need to build ourselves? So we can come in and conduct that gap analysis. And so you have a very clear plan of what it is that needs to be done for you to feel like this implementation has been a success, right? What's the data that we need? What are the deliverables that we need? They're going to work with you to identify opportunities for improvement through automation. And then they're also going to help you discover and quantify business value. So for example, one of the things we do at almost all of our implementations is we work with customers to automate that manual reporting that they're doing today. So we can have a finding that says, we think we are going to automate your HR reporting, and that's going to save you 40 hours per month, or whatever the number is, right? And then that's something you can bake into the proposal. So after the assessment's complete, we've done a gap analysis. Expectations have been aligned on what is and isn't included. We know what extensions or additional work has to be done, and we integrate that into our prescriptive implementation plan. So that's an agile sprint-based methodology where basically we take the work and we break it up into 2-week chunks. So we say week 2 we're going to deliver this, week 4 we're going to deliver this, week 6, etc. So we have a very clear plan, and we know at the end of the project, because our expectations are aligned, we all know where the goalpost is and what it is we're going to accomplish together during that time period. So it's very clear. And that's, just to contrast that's very different than a lot of other technology partners who come in and just install the tech and then expect you to tell them what to do, where's the data, how do I get it, right? We know Lawson, we understand how the system works, we know where to get this information to put these tools together for you. So Infor Lawson Analytics for Birst, it's available today for finance and supply chain. They're in the process of releasing GHR for multi-tenant and also available for on-premise customers. So if you fit in one of those, you'll have it relatively soon. We advocate that you go ahead and modernize your reporting today, so you can go ahead and you can integrate and get that cloud suite style reporting. If you do own healthcare analytics, or that's a term that you've heard or a product you purchased in the past, you do get a free upgrade to Infor Lawson Analytics for Birst. So that's the newest version. So if you've heard of healthcare analytics, if you think you bought it before, let somebody know, because you are entitled to a free upgrade to the latest release. So a couple things that are important I want to talk about Birst is the first one I think is really cool, and not a lot of people are aware of this. The fact that having good analytics and data is great, but often what you see is you're working in your ERP, you're working in your system, you're going through a business process, and you reach a point in that process where you have to make a decision. What normally happens is if you have analytics that are outside of your ERP, you then have to go log into that portal or go to some dashboard, etc. Pull the knobs and levers, right? Do your analysis, find out what it is you need to do, decide, and then go back to the ERP. What's even better than having that data is having that data embedded directly in the workflow, and that's something that you can only do with Birst. So if you have business processes in GHR that require data at certain points, you can embed that KPI, that measure, whatever it is, right within the UI, right within the workflow. So when they come onto that screen or dashboard, they don't have to go anywhere else to look for it. They can look at that number, continue. They never have to leave the ERP. Of course, it does have pixel perfect reporting through Designer. So those of you that are interested in creating crystal report style reports, you still do have the tooling to do that. And then of course it's that rich semantic layer which provides you those Lego building blocks for doing your reporting. So last few points I want to cover is when it comes to doing this implementation, a lot of people think that their data needs to be perfect before they can get started. That's not the case. We know your data is probably good right now. We're going to work with you iteratively to make it better and to get it to be the best that it can be. So don't let that stop you from pursuing a project like this. Many other customers also feel that they need to have all of their ducks in a row as far as what are my KPIs, what are my analytical tools, before they engage somebody to come in and help them. And that certainly isn't the case for most people that we work with. We don't have the expectations that you have to have everything lined up. You can tell us from day one what it is you want to do and why you want to do it. That's why we have the value-based design methodology where we iterate with you. We bring in the subject matter expert who understands GHR, and we're going to work together to help you figure out what are those KPIs and what's valuable to your organization based on the different roles that you have. Everything that you need is available now or is coming very soon for GHR. So basically there's two important components that you need. You need the Infor Loss and Analytics for Birst, and then you also need Birst licenses. And then of course we advocate if you are still using LBI, maybe you're sitting on the fence, you've been using it for a long time, you're comfortable with it, you certainly want to think about and plan for migrating off of that technology. It's not going anywhere from where it is today. You definitely need to modernize. And if you're thinking in the back of your head, well, we've got 1,000, we've got 1,500 LBI reports, and it seems like a monumental effort to re-implement all those in a new technology. I agree, it is a lot of work, but what we advocate is that you don't do that, right? Leave the LBI reports where they are. Go through the value-based design process, stand up Birst next to it, and what's going to happen over time is you can leave both those systems running up in tandem with each other, and users are going to self-migrate as they see the value, as they see how easy, dynamic it is to use a modern reporting platform. They're going to stop using LBI. When everybody's done using it, then you can go ahead and just shut that system off. Okay? All right. Well, those were the main points I wanted to cover. I hope it was useful. If you have any questions, feel free to email me at the address on the screen with any questions, and I'll respond to you directly.
We do have a question here. Do you need to be on V11 to use Birst? We have Global HR, but are currently on version 10 for supply chain. I understand Birst is available for GHR, but would like to know if there would be opportunity to use given our current setup for supply chain.
Absolutely. So if you're on V10 and you're a finance or a supply chain user, absolutely you can use Birst. So the key things that I showed, the data model is available for V11 and V10 customers. And you can use Birst on top of either one of those. So if you're not ready to go to Cloud Suite now, or you're not going to be going for a long time, but you know you want to have better analytical tools, you can absolutely leverage Birst on either one of those instances.